What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left side of the map in the red color, playing as Grand Monster. No, Grand Monster is playing as Set, and his name is Grand Monster. Also known as Odin, as you can see in the top, what is that, left of the screen? I don't even know. And his opponent today in the blue color playing as Odin. His name is Yoshii. He's playing as Odin. He's playing against Odin, who is playing as Set, but is also known as Grand Monster. If you can piece that together, then you're doing swimmingly. Game number 2, first game went Yoshii with Set Mirror, so he can't play Set anymore. Interesting to see that both of these players deciding that Set's a pretty good pick in this matchup, as we actually see another, that first map there was a potential fish spawn, and we actually see another potential fish spawn here on this map, where you could potentially have fish over here, and fish over here. But this map has spawned with a grand total of 0, which is kind of cool in a big way. This is something that is possible on competitive Mega Random, is that you get the map layout of a fish map with 0 fish, and we've seen it twice now in this series, which is really, really exciting, as we do see Yoshii scouting up at the top corner of the map. Going to be seeing what's happening there. And what makes this map so much more interesting, really, to me, than like a regular map, is that this water up the top means that your trade route is going to be super weak. So in reality, the best position to have your market is going to be right here and have incredible good defenses. So this is the longest route. So this corner here over to here. And if you can get that, then you're going to be living the dream. But if you go for the market that's here, then your opponent's got a pretty short route up to this location here to drop a dock and then start going after this market and getting in around your base. So controlling those ponds in the top corner for the late game is going to be really, really key. Then beyond all of that, you get these little ponds in the middle, which means you can use some transport ship shenanigans. You could build some trireme or archer ships here as well, and see how you're going to go. And then there's also a potential for these town centers, which it looks like this town center is, for the town centers to be in range of water. So this pond is going to be really important, and this pond is going to be really important. So that's the key aspects of this map, and we'll see if it's going to even matter here. A lot of the times it doesn't, because games can go any which way, but the point is that the potential is there, and we can get hype about it. So we're going to be waiting for that one there, as we see Grand Monster's Temple coming up right about now, as he's converting up here some boar away from Yoshii. Well, I guess those are on Grand Monster's side, but Yoshii's doing fine here nonetheless, as the priest is going to be moving onwards, grabbing a bear, as the village is going to be moving forward. We see Dark coming through. Yoshii about to be advancing through to the next age, but you do see that Yoshii is doing something pretty un-Yoshii-like, or maybe not un-Yoshii-like, but more un-Norse. What's my thinking? Un-meta-like. So if we take a good clear look at what Norse players are doing nowadays, they go very, very fast to the classical age most of the time. They want to be going up 7 food, 4 wood, 4 gold. That's about right. What Yoshii's doing here is he's saying, look, it doesn't matter. I don't need to advance here. I'm going to call Grand Monster's bluff a little bit. I'm going to not really worry about it all too much. And he's looking like he's going for a fast second town center here. If I've ever seen a fast second town center build here from a Norse player, this is what it's looking like. And the reason why this is not as bad as you might think is because you don't need to get to the classical age to start building military units for Norse. So you can actually start building those Hersa as soon as the temple's up. So we are seeing the animals are set, kind of moving around the map, trying to see what's happening over here. We don't yet have a second town center for Grand Monster. He's sending villagers forward, and he is going to be getting himself a barracks. Now, we've actually seen Grand Monster doing this strategy before. He goes for like 3 barracks
through Ptah against Norse, and I believe he may have lost that game there. I think it was against Jeff even. I believe he was playing maybe Ra, and he went for a Ptah classical fight against Norse, and it can be very, very dangerous, especially if the Norse player is going for something along the effect of a fast second town center type build here. As we do see the Hursa moving across the map, going to be getting greeted by these animals of Set, and Yoshii does smartly say, well, better move back home here. Get out of here. We do see the Wadjet is in with an Axeman, so going to be just a little bit scared here. And the Axeman gets a couple of whacks, so that's going to hurt a lot for Yoshii, as Grand Monster is just, he's lost a lot of HP here. He does have the Odin units, so he's going to be all right. He's going to heal those back up. He's got the Valkyrie as well. And is it just one barracks? No, he's going up to 2 barracks now, as the units are going to be pumping up. So there is a if you play like super efficient, you can advance. If you want to go for like a fast barracks kind of Ptah style, you can go 4-minute advance time and throw 1 barracks down, throw 1 monument up while you're advancing to the classical age, and then you can just go 1 barracks here and just be able to afford the spam of everything and not be behind the 8 ball, dropping another barracks down much later in the game. But if you advance a little bit later, you do have to get that second barracks down to spend all your resources. As Grand Monster now sitting outside of Yoshii's base. Now the question is, how used to this kind of a strategy is Yoshii going to be? So the general rule here for Norse is don't fight the Egyptian. Build towers, go heroic age is the general rule. So we'll see if that's what Yoshii's going to be going for here, or if he's going to be kind of left to the whims of Grand Monster, as he's going to be all over him. So there is only 1 medium gold mine in the main base, and all the rest of the gold is outside of the base. So there is a really, really big timing that Grand Monster wants to pull here, and that timing involves shifting sands onto the second gold mine. The problem with this is that Yoshii can get heroic age, have frost, and then not have anything to worry about where that's concerned. So we'll see if that's going to become an issue or not, as the units are going to be making their way around here. We see those throwing Axemen getting some good shots in. They've only got 9 range, but I believe that was buffed at some point. I could be wrong, could be talking out of my hat. So we do see a vision here into the main base of Yoshii, as Grand Monster is considering a shifting sands, but just checking on this, and we do see the shifting sands coming in as the units do pop in to Yoshii's base, and now Grand Monster uses this as a bit of a go time. The villagers pulling back. We will be seeing maybe 1 villager falling here as the villagers wander back into the base. They have some pigs to eat. Yoshii's still going to be, he has got decent resources in the bank, but he's not going to be close to the next stage. We see the units retreating away from here, as the villagers did throw up some ghost buildings to delay them from getting out of here. And we'll see how Yoshii's going to continue to deal with this pressure. There's a really, really weak wood line at the back here as well. If Grand Monster wants to sneak around to, we have seen Yoshii building some nice building placements. I would have liked to see this barracks get thrown to wedge across the forest and the tower, but I guess this allows Yoshii to move around here, as the villagers continuing to get those pigs in, as the units moving out of the base. Yoshii not paying attention. This is not what you want to be doing here, as Grand Monster manages to catch these units out, getting some very, very crucial kills here. This is everything for the classical fight, and we will be seeing a forest fire getting dropped here to allow Yoshii an escape route, as he's going to be pushing forward, continuing to fight. This Grand Monster does decide to turn around, and he definitely does have the stronger army here, picking off a couple more units as Yoshii going to be retreating. But again, there is this retreat path here, as the forest fire going to be doing huge amounts of damage there onto Grand Monster's army. Grand Monster simply just going to retreat away. He does have a handful of priests to heal everything back up, so no harm, no loss there for Grand Monster, as he's going to get those units back up to full HP very, very soon. But now the dwarves making their way up to the second gold mine. Difference here is that I'm like, that shifting sands wasn't like a bad shifting sands. It just didn't make sense doesn't make sense based on the strategy which Grand Monster is going for. The strategy is put an animal of set over here, an animal of set over here, and when the dwarves come, you shifting sands onto them, and you get the quick win where that's concerned. as we are seeing some nice little raids coming through here. Is Grand Monster's getting himself medium spearmen, getting some slingers out. Yeah, it's got to be a little bit careful here as the Yoshii army is starting to look very, very scary. Now, there's not a... There actually, it was some decent hunt over here for Yoshii, but Grand Monster is stealing it all away. And now Yoshi's up to the top side of the map. Just hanging out here as a Grand Monster still looking for something to do with his army, but I'm not sure if he's missed the gold mine or not, because he's got a unit over here, but not over here, and he's just kind of allowing Yoshii to do really whatever Yoshii wants here. And that's dangerous. But the problem is that Yoshii is probably going to have to farm here, as he doesn't have enough food to get to the next age, or hasn't calculated his resources well enough. And this is kind of theory in a way. If you don't have enough food to get to the heroic age off of one base, you should probably get 2 town centers and build farms. This is kind of theory. The problem is that it doesn't really work against Set, because Set's got infinite hunt with the Pharaoh. So they can still hit those timings that wouldn't really be able to be hit normally. But Yoshii does get spotted here as Grand Monster comes forward. We will be seeing a little bit of a turnaround here by Yoshii, hitting some of these units as the Slingers trying to get some damage from afar as more units moving in. Yoshii does have his 106 population. He is picking off units over here on the other location. Yoshii is so good at this, as Grand Monster losing just a whole ton of units on this location here. The problem is that villagers are on this wood line. The town center over here there's 700 resources in this town center, which Yoshii hasn't used just yet, which he definitely could have desperately used, like medium raiders, more villagers, getting some farms, all the other good stuff. But he does have a significant advantage right now in this fight, as those raiding cavalry do come in, and Grand Monster's population is plummeting, with Yoshii at 101 of 115 to Grand Monster's 74 of 115. So Grand Monster has to retreat away. Yoshii can now get his town center up. No problems where that's concerned. And that's just a fantastic situation right now for Yoshii to be in as the Odin player here in this game. So Grand Monster on the way back to his base. He's still probably only got 2 barracks up. Does he have a third one anyway? He's got a third one in his main base, but I don't think he can support it all. Still eating his pigs. He's probably has been eating those boar as well. Still no Shadoof, I don't think, just yet. Yeah, no Shadoof, no plow, no real room to start farming here for Grand Monster. So Yoshii, this second town center makes a lot of sense here. He's going to grab this, he's going to build farms, and he's going to start putting pressure all across the map. Going to be fantastic as those farms slowly starting to come up. Yoshii doesn't have plow just yet, but it is being researched here. He does get another raven from the gods as the raiding cavalry moving across the map. And we will be seeing a town center getting thrown up here by Grand Monster. One of those raiding cavalry of Yoshii was keeping an eye on this location, but does get shanked down, as the raiding cavalry are going to be wandering through here very, very fast. We've got ourselves 11 raiding cavalry and 11 villagers. We will be seeing the town center getting denied just a little bit as the villagers turn around, going to start shanking away. The spearmen do come in onto this position. Yoshii going to keep on attempting to pick off villagers. Slowly but surely, one of these low HP raiding cavalry is being held back just to make sure it doesn't get targeted down out of the middle of nowhere. Yoshii does lose a raiding cavalry over here. We do see the spearman raids now onto Yoshii's gold mine, as he does decide to start taking this fight over here. Now the dwarves back onto the gold. The slinger is going to be taking down this house over here. And I think that Grand Monster just needs to put everything in onto trying to push off of this gold mine. Because right now, Yoshii's at 397 gold. He's got plenty of wood. He's got his farms setting up. He's setting those up. But right now, maybe even sending villagers forward wouldn't be a bad idea. Sending villagers forward, put towers down. Grand Monster spending all of his resources, getting himself Shadoof now. A handful of raiders over on this location. We are seeing the dwarves going to be looking for a different gold mine. The question is, which gold mine? This one's got a boar on it, so it's not 100% safe. This one over here open. But we do see Grand Monster is sending the boar over, just going to be checking on it. Hopefully he clicks patrol or something. There's a command which allows the boar to kind of, or like a unit to move back and forth from a location. So we'll see if that's what Grand Monster's boar is going to do here, or if it's just going to kind of hang out or get eaten. Looks like it's going to come back and get eaten here, as Grand Monster just misses out just a little bit here. We do have a sneaky observation by the chat that these units are currently walking on water. But I would like to remind you that even people can walk through the shallows of water. When it gets deep, though, they can't. See? So they're just dipping their toes in, and they're not actually swimming. So there's that. Yes, you can walk along the kind of darker areas of this type of water. It's weird. This isn't a terrain that the devs really tested, and therefore it's a bit strange. So just deal with it as it is. It is what it is. So there you go. There's now Yoshii retreating back. He's going to be, yet again, he's probably not actually in that difficult of a position right now, as he's got 1,300 gold in the bank. So he can pretty happily just pull off this gold mine if he so chooses. More farms going to be coming up on this position here. Grand Monster's got plenty of resources himself. He's behind 5 villages, but not the end of the world here, as the throwing axemen are going to be able to carve through these spearmen. Very, very nice. You have to micro against Yoshii. Yoshii is so good with his army control right now that you can't just like set and forget. You got to kind of have your slingers on a control group, be microing them. And we're seeing Grand Monster doing that now, taking down those throwing axemen. The raiding cavalry in the back here going to be helping out, but Yoshii does drop down now to 87 population. He will be able to advance to the heroic age, though. He is hurting on the resources just a little bit, as we do see Grand Monster spotting this gold mining operation as he wanted to put a barracks down. Decides to pull back a little bit. Maybe a barracks elsewhere wouldn't go astray, as we've got now 3 town centers up for Grand Monster. So Grand Monster going very, very boomy here. Yoshii having to pull back with a bit of a disadvantage. He's kind of thrown any advantage that he did have here. So now Grand Monster's kind of finding himself in a fairly decent position. So having thrown Yoshii's winning chances here doesn't mean that Yoshii is behind right now. He's kind of in an equal spot, and he's going to be going for this 3rd town center. And oftentimes, if Norse is equal against Egyptian, they're all right, especially if they're in ahead in the tech, because they can start thinking about things like Ragnarok, which is very, very difficult to defend on a map like this, where all the gold mines are kind of forward. As we do see the spearmen pushing through this location, taking a couple of dwarves out. The throwing axemen coming in to come and defend. There's a handful of spearmen over here that are going to be getting pushed back. The slinger's going to help out a little bit against those throwing axemen, but Grand Monster does have to be a little bit careful not to overextend here. He's going to be losing quite a few units to this raid. As we do see the slingers swinging around here to go after this gold mine yet again. Actually going to be kicking himself for not getting those walls set up a little bit earlier here. We've got an army of slingers now coming through. Send the frost giant over here, could actually beat up those slingers pretty nicely. Right now, Yoshii's really going to be wanting a hill fort and starting to make Huskal here, even if he's got to deal with what he's got to deal with, as he is getting himself winter harvest. Absolutely huge technology. Said it once, say it again. It is plow plus irrigation. So absolutely insane tech. Have to get that as soon as you can, especially if you've got farms already. And Quarry also coming through with Lone Wanderer as well for Yoshii. I love the Lone Wanderer idea. Getting Ulfsark out at this point is enough to force Axeman. You cannot make Spearman Slinger against Ulfsark. So Ulfsark makes a lot of sense here for Yoshii, as he is pushing back on this size at 139 to 145 population. As soon as that winter harvest kicks in, that food economy is going to start skyrocketing. And Yoshii's at 66 villages. Grand Monster has overtaken him, but the villager quality that Yoshii's now made, if you take a look at what Grand Monster's got, no shaft mine, no irrigation, no hand axe. So the villager quality that Yoshii has is much, much better than Grand Monster. So he's definitely, his economy is in a much better position than Grand Monster. So we do see a stray pharaoh sacrificing himself to the gods by walking into Yoshii's town center there. As we see Yoshii pushing
forward. Fortified town center now coming up for Yoshii as well. As look at that, I told you that food economy was going to skyrocket up to 1,000 food already here. He's making more farms. Can you believe it? He's also got himself the market. There's room right now to go tier. There's room to go Ragnarok. The idea of Ragnarok would be he's at 80 villages. He can start a small trade route, and he can just push through this town center, hit this gold mine, hit this gold mine, hit this gold mine, and hit a gold star pretty easily with all of the units that he has. As the priests are getting some damage done right now, as Grand Monster just about to be able to click up to the next age. More units pushing forward. We see a hill fort coming up on the front as a handful of longhouses are getting dropped here. And we see the Frost Giants moving forward. And the Ulfsark going to be able to completely destroy those slingers in the back. And we see some attempt at some good micro here from Grand Monster, pulling in and out of that town center to keep the priests alive so they can deal max damage to the Frost Giants. But these are only classical age priests with no funeral rites, obviously, because they're in the classical age. So they're just scratching these Frost Giants completely. As Yoshii could sell some food at this point, advance to the Mythic Age if you wanted to. We will be seeing a couple of units coming out for Yoshii over here, as he's just about got himself the resources to advance to the next age here. We're still seeing slingers trying to get in and get some damage up onto this location here, and Balder is the god of choice for Yoshii. A bold move. It does have its all-in properties, but I mean, it is also kind of guaranteed damage in a big way. The problem being here is that Grand Monster is going to be able to probably get himself heavy axemen and a whole bunch more barracks to defend. So will he be able to defend enough is the big question, because he's currently got himself 1,000 gold in the bank. We are seeing some Ulfsark raids coming in onto this position. The villagers do turn around, start shanking, but there's going to be a handful of Ulfsark, I think, coming in to harass here. As what do we got over here? We've got another barracks coming up on the front for Yoshii. Rhyme coming through. He's got himself fortified town centers, so he's got his 160 population. A couple of units getting taken out over here as well, as Grand Monster has to pull back. And now Yoshii can continue his conquest. And look, he's got himself the full infantry army. So right now, essentially, Grand Monster should be full axemen. Stop making slingers completely. Take everything off of wood, put it onto food and gold, and try and get Mythic Age. The problem is that set doesn't have Son of Osiris. So there's that. And we do see the early frost coming down, which is smart because he's going to have Ragnarok. We do see the ancestors getting dropped. Ragnarok is 90% right now, so probably not going to be able to help against these ancestors, but the town center might just fall here. We are seeing masons coming through in this town center, so it's going to be able to help defend for just a little bit longer here, as the villagers doing some good damage over here. There's the Balder coming in for Yoshii. Is he going to cast his rag straight away, getting some upgrades? We see the heavy axeman has come through here, I believe. Yeah, heavy axeman is in, and Grand Monster keeps his town center alive just barely here. We see the town center is kind of hanging around 600 HP fairly nicely. Another Frost Giant trying to get in onto the town center here to get the big damage done. Frost Giants do have themselves 12 crush damage, so they're pretty good at destroying buildings. As the Ancestor's going to get some good damage done, trying to take down the Axemen as best as they can. But we see Champion Infantry coming through for Yoshii, and Yoshii has to think about what sort of a Ragnarok he wants to pull here. He's making himself some Fire Giants. He doesn't necessarily have to click the Balder button, but he has to think about what sort of Ragnarok he wants. And there's a couple of options for him. So option number one would be to just click it and go all in. Option number two is to bank about 2,000 resources each, and then just go for building spam behind the Ragnarok, and then be okay because you've got like a 20 or 30 Ox Caravan trade route. And option number three is to go Titan Ragnarok in an effort to have a big powerful unit to push through all the building spam.
Right now it doesn't really matter though, because Yoshii can just build fire giants and they're going to be able to absolutely annihilate these axemen here. But Yoshii does have himself the problem of having 86 villagers already, so he's got tons of economy here. But he is getting himself all his armory upgrades. How the armory upgrades looking for Grand Monster? He's got himself bronze mail, but that's it. And Levy Longhouse soldiers is coming through as well for Yoshii. Bit of an interesting technology. It allows him to like spam units out of a building much faster. It's like a 20% reduction, and if you get the next one up, it's another 20% as well. You do see the 4 fire giants out now for Yoshii. He's trying to think about what sort of units he wants to build. I'm surprised he's not making those Balder Rams here, but plenty of resources in the bank now for Yoshii, as he is just annihilating the Grand Monster villages, and Grand Monster really doesn't have an answer for this. It's one of Set's big weaknesses. So Set can go against fire giants. That kind of needs Avengers in a big way. Even if you have the funeral rites priests, you're probably going to be losing them to just the enemy units or whatever. So you basically need the Avengers. But the problem is the fire giants come with Balder and Ragnarok, and therefore you probably don't want to build Avengers. Because the Rag heroes are going to kill them. So there is that. And right now Yoshii he does have a very large amount of resources in the bank, as he's slowly getting himself all of those armory upgrades. He's kind of just toying with Grand Monster a little bit, as we see a Migdol stronghold coming up on this gold mine over here. And we've got ourselves 86 villagers for Yoshii. Is he still building trade? No, he stopped his trade for some reason. I'm not sure exactly what he's waiting for. He's trying to build some cavalry. I like the idea of going like a champion cavalry to boot with your rag heroes to tank up the enemy axemen or something like that. So makes some sense that Yoshii wants to try and do that here. Just to see this Raven coming in just to check out what's going on, maybe waiting to see the gold mine go away or something like that. We do see a cheeky fire giant coming down to this bottom location over here to stop the trade route of Grand Monster. I'm still confused as to what Yoshii's waiting on. I'm pretty sure if he clicked Rag, it would just be over here. He's got himself Iron Mail right now. So just being safe, I guess. Get all of those technologies. Get in a really nice position. Got himself 2,500 food. 1,400-ish wood, 2,500-ish gold. In a fantastic position. You see Huntress Axe coming in. Now Yoshii's getting himself engineers and maybe going to go portable battering rams here. He does have plenty of buildings back in his home base, but getting himself conscript, longhouse soldiers, and champion cavalry. So one of the lesser known things about this technology, because not many people get it, is if you're auto queuing units and your units change train time, they don't continue producing. So you do have to restart them. So as soon as that technology comes through, which I think it just did, what should happen is these do not train any more units. There you go. So the auto queue gets stopped. So whenever you're getting those levy upgrades or conscript upgrades, just remember you got to restart the units again, and that's a big thing here. 90 villagers for Yoshii, absolutely insane. I'm still not sure why we haven't seen do we have any extra upgrades on these? No. Villagers popping out, and Grand Monster he's just setting up his towers. He's got himself watchtowers. You can get guard towers fairly soon as well. This is getting scarier and scarier for Yoshii. He's at 20 favor as well, so while he could get his 50 favor and advance to the Titan Age later, he would want to get there first, I would assume. But an interesting move here from Yoshii is trying to mine out this gold mine first. I mean, it is a tournament, and you do want to play it as safe as you possibly can to guarantee your win. But sometimes too safe is a problem as well here. As some units wandering forward here. Horus on the way for Grand Monster. As these portable rams moving in, they still don't have their upgrade. the Balder Ram upgrade. Yoshii pulling back. Doing his stuff. Architect's Guard Tower's coming in now for Grand Monster. Do have like 7 portable rams, so it's probably enough right now to hit the go button. Yoshi's really not doing all too much. It's just like, yeah, just infinite resources. Why not? What's the problem? And there's the 323 population Ragnarok. Now, the question here is, what does Yoshii do with it? I was saying that this was an option where you just go mass resources and then spam buildings. When I like that option as a very safe option, because you can set up Baluster, Walled Baluster Tower for afterwards with the resources that you've got. We will be seeing those Rag heroes pushing in right now, but the other option is to actually just build a wonder here as well, just to have a good lull, because you got so much population, you know you're never gonna run out of it. As the portable rams moving through onto this position over here, we will be seeing the villagers over here getting taken out, as Yoshii wants to grab this town center for himself, I'm sure. Put a stop to the trade route. You see the units flooding in. Yoshii's got himself 288 population. Grand Monster's got no resources in the bank. He's got himself a Horus, but a Tornado, but no real way to use it. I mean, the thing is here that these buildings are so strong. Yoshii's units are just getting taken out incredibly fast here. But I think it doesn't matter, because he's going to be able to kill off this back town center. Not enough buildings over here. And if Yoshii can get the 4 town centers, then he's just in such a big advantage. You do see that town center falling. And will Yoshii build it? And he probably will. Probably focusing on making sure his units are doing something valuable over here. The last portable ram just about to go down, it would seem, but there's still a handful of units over here already. And while this is all going on, Yoshii is training fire giants. He's got 6 fire giants queued up in that temple. He's not wasting 1 ounce of favor here in this game, ladies and gentlemen. As the town center over here is going up. Still seeing mercenary coming through. Should probably just be building axemen here. That spearman doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but hey, what can you do? As the town center coming up for Yoshii, some walls going to be getting dropped down on this position, as maybe the Rag hero is going to come over for another push onto this town center, get himself 5 town centers to 1. Wouldn't be a bad idea here. See if he's going to be able to get there. See stone walls coming through as well for Yoshii. Just like, yeah, I can kind of do whatever I want. Yeah, 16 ox caravans is enough to support or give him plenty of resources to spam those fire giants when he loses all the Rag heroes. And right now, I just don't think that Grand Monster realizes quite how far behind he is, and that this Ragnarok is an economic beast of a Ragnarok here. As we will be seeing the town center getting taken out pretty much instantly here. We do have some villagers trying to push in, but the walls are already up. And in that moment, Grand Monster does tap out. GG, a pretty strong display here from Yoshii. Grand Monster, he did this classical fight that he did and lost against a previous Norse player with. And really, I mean, the way that I see it, the strategy is kind of dead to a Norse player that understands what an Egyptian classical fight is good against and what it's not good against. So if the Norse player knows how to deal with it, you're not going to have a good time. The thing is that there's plenty of Norse players, and even in this game was an example, who don't know how to deal with it.
And there was a really, really big weakness here for Yoshii when he moved to his second gold mine. But Grand Monster used his shifting sands on enemy units instead of trying to use it for a timing push. And he just wasn't able to get any value there. And from there, it was just a boom war. And guess who wins the boom wars? The Norse player does. And that's my analysis of that one. Thank you so much for the tier 1, the 6 months, Sam. Fantastic. Appreciate you so very, very much, my friend. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.